Hello again, gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Captain, and today I'm going to be reviewing and showing you how to play Beyond the Sun. So, first off, I want to give a big thank you to my brother, David. This is the first time a family member has ever sent me a review copy. But my brother David is friends with the designer of this game, that is Dennis K. Chan, and he was showing off some pictures of his copy he had purchased online, and I was saying how I wish I had a contact with Rio Grande Games so I could get a review copy of this one, and my brother sent me a review copy. He said, here you go, have fun, give it a review. So I said, that's awesome, this game looks really cool, and I'm going to review it. So before I get too into this, I do want to say I'm wearing one of our merch shirts here. This is the I Drink and I Game, It's What I Do shirt. If you want to get some cool gamer gear, shirts, and mugs like this, there's a link to my Teespring store in the description down below. And if you're in a position to and would like to help out the channel and get access to early release videos, as well as behind the scenes videos, and even the ability to request a review and tutorial to one of your favorite classic games, there's a link to my Patreon in the description down below. So this game was published by Rio Grande Games. Again, it was designed by Dennis K. Chen. It is listed at 2 to 4 players, 100 minutes, and ages 14 and up. Now, normally in this portion of the video, I do a lot of talking about all of that as well as showing components, but there is a lot to get to with this game, so including I need to run you through a bunch of turns to give you a feel for this game. So instead, we're going to jump right into the tutorial portion. I'm going to show you how to play. I'm going to run you through a bunch of turns, and then I'm going to come back with Lynn, and we're going to talk about the player count, the time, the age recommendation, show some components, and also fully talk about how this game plays, how it feels, and we're going to rate it and review it. Okay, so here you can see us set up to play a 3-player game of Beyond the Sun. So I am over here, and I'm going to be playing the Zhang Yi Brotherhood, which is using the purple components.
I'm over here. I'm going to be playing Nishida Ostergaard Corporation and using the blue.
And then for our Ghost third player, they are on this side of the table. Lynn, would you put your hand over their board there? You can see part of their board over there. Lynn and I will be collaborating to play the third player for this example. We are using the basic boards for each of these factions. There are advanced boards for each of these factions as well available. So to set up the game, you have to put the technology board and the exploration board out on the table. You have to put out all the ore cubes. You have to set up your personal board by filling all of the A, B, C, D, and E tracks with supply-sided cubes, with the supply side up, which the supply side looks like this. It looks like a little crate. And then you also have to fill your population growth track with the food tokens and the ore production track with the ore production tokens, which look like little gears. Then you also have to randomly deal out the 4 level 1 technologies onto the level 1 slots over there. If you are playing anything other than a 4-player game, you have to put the appropriate basic starting action tile over that section. And you also have to cover these other sections with the appropriate tiles. Those can be released later via technologies or events. You have to shuffle in 2 level 2 events that are used in every game with 4 other random level 2 events and deal up random level 2 events that you are unaware what is where in the level 2 slots, and the same thing exactly with the level 3 events. You then randomly shuffle up and deal out the level 2, 3, and 4 technologies beneath each of those columns. You take 2 of the 4 starting A systems and place them out on the A slots on the deep space board here. And then you also randomly deal out 2 B systems on the exploration board here. And then the remaining 2 A systems, the A starting systems, get shuffled back into the A deck. The B deck gets shuffled up as well, and those are placed next to the board. In addition, you have 2 starting achievement cards that you must start with, which are Transcendence and Empire. The others are randomly dealt as a random A achievement and random B achievements. Now, the ones that we got for this particular game are Warlord and Prosperity. So the starting achievements, Transcendence and Empire, which everybody gets. Transcendence, you can get it if you achieve a level 4 technology. Empire, you can get it if you colonize 4 systems. The random ones we have dealt up, Warlord and Prosperity. Warlord is have 4 or more power in 3 locations. That is by the level of your ships in those locations. And Prosperity is colonize 2 systems and automate 4 discs, which we're going to kind of show you how all these things work while we're showing you how to play the game. But after setting all this up, the next thing you do is you check with the starting faction boards what extra you get for your faction. The starting boards all have asymmetrical starting abilities. So the Zhengyi Brotherhood has the ability to turn one of their supply crates into a ship. That is in addition to one ship that everybody starts with on the Sol system. So I have done that. In addition, everybody starts with a bit of ore. In a 3-player game, the first and second player get 1 ore. And everybody also starts with 2 cubes on the population side, so that they have a couple of population to be able to use if they need. So Lynn, what was your faction starting ability?
Mine is after regular setup, I gain an additional 2 ore, so I start with 3 ore.
Very nice. And what was our last player's ability?
Their ability is they get an extra person from supply column C.
So they got to turn one of their crates in supply column C into an extra population. So that's it. So we're all set up. We're ready to go. There's actually a fair amount of setup in this. So sorry, it took a little bit to go through. But now we're ready to play. And play is actually much easier than the setup. So we're just going to run you through a bunch of turns and show you how this goes. And when other important rules come up, we will refer to them. Now we've got Lynn set up as the starting player. So we're going to start right off with Lynn's first turn.
I am going to research a level 1 technology.
Now what Lynn is doing here is the first part of everyone's first turn is to move their pawn to a new worker placement spot. So now our pawns don't start on any worker placement spots at all. So she moved it onto the worker placement spot that is wide open. There are 3 wide open spots for researching a basic technology. So which tech are you going to research?
This green one.
So now in order to do that, she has to move one of her available population cubes onto the green technology, what is the name of that one?
Advanced Genetics.
Indeed it is. So Advanced Genetics is the basic level 1 green tech. It allows you to immediately automate one of your food production, which Lynn just did. You take the leftmost food token off of your population growth track and you put it onto your automation track at the top of your board like Lynn just did. And then it also says you can turn 1 supply crate into a population. Now to do so, you have to take a supply crate from the leftmost available column. So in this case, A has available supply crates. So Lynn just did that. So now gaining that immediate ability is all this particular technology does. It doesn't have a continuing effect. Now, once Lynn is done with her action, which what she did for her action was, of course, to research that technology, she now gets to do production. So, Lynn, what are you going to do for your production?
I am going to do population growth.
So now she checks her population growth chart. Now, on the bottom of your board, you have population growth, ore production, and resource trade, which are the 3 types of production you can do. And you gain resources based on which your choices. Population growth will give you 1 of your supply crates turned into a population from your track A, just by default, but as you slowly get to remove the tokens from its track, you may get more from B, C, D, and finally E. The ore production similarly gives you more and more ore as you take it, and the resource trade is a way that, regardless of track, allows you to trade either ore for population or to turn a ship into population or to remove population in order to gain ore, your choice. And exactly what you have to trade for each of those is listed in a little cheat sheet on the bottom of the board. So Lynn, now the final phase of your turn, of course, is to claim an achievement, but generally speaking, we can't do that to the end of the game. So are you able to claim any achievements yet?
No.
Okay, so are you all finished?
Yes.
All right, so it's my turn. So now I'm going to take an action. So I also am going to take the research level 1 technology. So Lynn, would you put me on the second space there? Thank you very much. So for my research technology, I'm going to take one of my population here and I'm going to place it on this technology, terraforming. Now, terraforming is a little bit different than the technology Lynn shows, which was advanced genetics, because it has both a immediate ability and then it opens up new worker placement spots that I can play on in the future. So for the immediate ability, it allows me to turn one resource crate into one level 1 ship placed in deep space. So again, I have to take the resource crate from my leftmost column, so that will be column A for me. I will turn its face from the resource crate side to the level 1 ship side, and I will place it on this board in deep space. Now that will be it for my action, is researching that technology, but having researched that technology in the future, I now have 2 new spots open to me on this card. One allows jump 4, which allows 4 points of movement around in the exploration board over here with all the systems, and the other one allows me to spend 3 ore and remove a population to colonize a system. So those are going to be available to me in the future, which is really pretty awesome. But I'm done there with that. I'm finished with that. So now I'm going to move on to my production phase, and I would like to produce ore. So I'm going to take 1 ore, because you start with only 1 ore production on your board, and add it to my supply. And of course, I cannot claim any of the achievements yet either, so I'm going to move on from that. So for the third faction, the orange faction that we're playing with here, which is the United Nations of Sol, they also would like to do research, because researching early is a really, really good thing. Lynn, what do you think they would be most beneficial for that player to take?
Probably the narrow beam lasers.
Well, let's go for it. I'm all for that. So narrow beam lasers is another very different technology, and I like it because it lets us show you a different tech. So this is another one like the one I'm on, where it both has a starting ability and it has a later spot that you can play on with your worker. So for their starting ability, they gain 1 ore. Here, give them the ore. They also get to upgrade one of their ships by 1. So they have only 1 ship right now. It's on Sol, and it's going to go to the level 2 side. Then they, in the future, will be able to play on a spot there that costs them 1 ore to take 1 population, turn it into a level 2 ship, and then get jump 3. That is a really useful spot, and that will definitely come in handy as they try to move around the exploration board and eventually possibly colonize some planets, though they do not have a colonize ability themselves yet. But then for their production, since they've got lots and lots of, they've still got 2 people, they probably would produce another ore so they can stockpile some ore, because they've got enough people to last them for a while. So let's give them another ore. They're going to stockpile a whole bunch of ore there. And of course, they will not be able to gain any achievements yet either. So now we're going to go back to Lynn's turn. And now the thing about Lynn's turn 2 is there's no way she can research another level 1 technology. All the spots, all the worker placement spots for the researching of level 1 technologies are full. So Lynn, what are you going to do? You got to do something different.
I'm going to research a level 2 technology.
Do you qualify?
Yeah.
Oh, you do. This one right here. So Lynn is jumping up that tech tree very fast.
I have to pay
Now,
2 ore.
Before you do that, I want to point out, exactly what it means to qualify for a tech. So there are these paths around on the board. So in the case here, this one only requires you to know this green tech that was randomly placed there to be able to research the technology here. However, this one here requires you to know both of these 2 techs. So Lynn will be able to research that one there. So it costs you 2 ore.
And I'm going to put a person there.
Okay, now in this case, level 2s have random events that happen before you research. So Lynn, what is our random event going to be?
I gain another person from my little
Population growth there?
little cargo area. Looks like cargo crates.
Mm-hmm.
Then choose and remove a tier 1 guild cover tile below the basic spacefaring box.
Fantastic.
Each faction can now gain the access to the uncovered guild actions.
So which one are you going to reveal?
I'm going to do the researcher level 3 for 4 ore.
That's the Professor's Guild. So that's 2 spots, costs 4 ore, and 1 population to be able to research a level 3. So now we have, wow, so Lynn is wanting to climb that tech tree and fast. So now what happens is, before Lynn starts drawing cards there, we have to look and see what the prerequisite color is at the end of its card. It's green, which means that Lynn has to look, because it's the only one available, has to look for green cards. She's going to draw the first 2 green cards available from the level 2 deck, and then pick which one of those to put in this spot. So she found 2 greens. The rest will go on the bottom of the deck, whatever she does not choose. Now, if it was a spot like this that had 2 possible prerequisites, this one has a red and a green, she would have picked first, either red or green. She would have said green, and then she still would have looked for the 2 green. Or if she would have said red, she would have looked for 2 red.
Okay, I'm going to do biosynaptic network. It says choose one. It's an immediate. Choose one. Either repeat the immediate bonus of any level 2, even if you don't have the technology. There is no other level 2.
It would be itself.
Or B, which I'm going to choose, is automate 1 population or ore token and then gain 2 ore.
Wow, that's actually really good.
So I'm going to do the population.
Because that's going to give you, when you do population growth, that's going to give you an extra population.
And then I gain 2 ore.
And you gain 2 ore. Very nice. That was a very good tech to get.
And then for my production phase, I'm going to produce people because I can produce 1 from column A and 1 from column B.
That's right, because you unlocked the second, by removing the token that you just did for the automation, you unlocked another symbol.
And then that's it. I can't do any achievements.
All right, so for my first action, I'm going to move my pawn to the one that lets me make ships over there. Glenn, if you wouldn't mind, thank you. And that allows me to turn 1 of my population into a ship, which I'm going to do. Ships, unless it's stated otherwise, must start in the Sol system. And then it gives me jump 2. So for my jump 2, I'm going to move 1 ship onto Sirius, which Sirius has a control ability, which means when you gain control of it, you get that ability. The control ability for Sirius is to gain 1 ore. So I'm going to take 1 ore from over here. I'm going to place it in here. And in addition, when you control Sirius, you get to take 1 of your ore production tokens and place it on Sirius because it has that symbol next to the planet. For my second jump, I'm going to take the ship from deep space and I'm going to jump onto Tau Ceti that also has a control ability. Tau Ceti has the ability that when I can move my rightmost supply crate to column A. So I'm going to take one of my column E supply crates and move it over to column A. In addition, it has both a ore and a population production symbol, meaning I can do whichever one I choose. Now I'm already close to releasing the ability to unlock an extra ore production, so I'm going to go for that. I'm going to put another of my ore production tokens on that one to get rid of that for my track and reveal the next symbol. Though, once I've done this action, I am now actually going to take a population growth because I do need some more population because that action made me run completely out of population. So that will be it for me, and now it'll be the third player's turn to go. So now they just... the third player just got their new tech. Do you think they're going to want to get another tech, or do you think they're going to want to use the action on their new tech?
They probably want to use their action, I would think.
So let's go for it. So they get to spend 1 ore, and they've just been stockpiling a whole bunch of it. And it allows them to turn 1 population into a level 2 ship. And then they get jump 3. So I imagine with their jump, they're going to want to actually take some of... especially since they have jump 3, they're going to want to start moving out and taking control of some areas in the galaxy. So I would imagine that they would spend 2 jump to move to this shipyard system here and gain control of it, so they can get rid of one of their food resource tokens off their population track and put it on the planet, because that has the food symbol on it. So they're going to get to put that on the planet. In addition, they can take control of another one of these systems. Now, they could either steal this system from me, steal control of it, or they could take this one and gain an extra revealed population growth. That's kind of a tough choice. Lynn, what do you think? Would they rather steal control of Sirius from me or get revealed another population symbol? What do you think would be better for that player?
I think they're going to steal it from you.
They want to steal from me? All right, I would have personally gone for the extra population growth, but I think I'm biased. So they're going to go over here, which means I lose control of this planet, so I'm going to have to take back that ore token. They're going to put one of their ore tokens on the planet, and then in addition, they're going to get the control ability, which is they're going to get an ore. So in doing so, they did one of the few areas in here where there's a bit of player interaction, where they have stolen control of one of the planets here from one of the other players. At which point they're going to get to produce, and they are getting low on people. I think they're probably going to go for population growth, don't you think?
Yeah.
All right, let's do that for them then.
They get one person.
They could have had two if they didn't mess with me. Okay, Lynn, what are you going to do?
I'm going to research a level 1.
Okay. Which level 1 are you going for?
I'm going for this blue one.
Oh, interesting.
I can automate
one of the ore symbols?
One of the ores.
Okay.
And I gain an ore.
Well, that's very useful. Though it does not reveal any new actions for you, it still had a nice immediate effect. Now, are you going for population growth or ore production?
I'm going to do ore to get one more ore.
One more ore? Stockpiling all that ore? Good for you. Good for you. I am also going to research another level 1 technology. For me, on this one, I'm going to be researching the narrow beam lasers, which immediately gives me an ore and allows me to upgrade one of my ships by a level. So I'm going to turn this level 1 into a level 2. That does not allow me to take back over Sirius, though, because the orange player already has a level 2 there. I did not surpass them. I do not have more power there. So we're just tied, and the default is it goes to whoever last controlled it. So that will not be me, unfortunately. However, now I will do a population growth so I can get one more pop back, and then I will be done with my turn, and it will be orange player's turn to go.
Okay.
All right, so the orange player is going to go for a level 2 technology. They've definitely got the ore to spend. So they're going to spend their 2 ore, and they only qualify for this one over here. So they're going to reveal the event. The event is erratic solar activity. So tuck this card underneath an uncolonized system. Factions must pay 1 ore for each jump of their ships that end their jump there, but then that system will be worth an extra victory point at the end of the game. So now, being that Lynn already decided that this player is going to be messing with me, I think it's only logical that they continue to mess with me and try to make it more difficult for me to take this system back from them. So we're going to tuck it under Sirius, because it just makes the most sense, don't you think? Now they have to find a red level 2 tech. So let's see, one reveals itself. The next one is not red. The next one after that is red. So we're going to put the one that was not under the deck. We're going to take a look at the 2 here and see which one would benefit them more, and they're going to go for that. They're going to go for this one to build lots of ships, because this is a really cool one. Modular fleet. It allows the opportunity to possibly build up to 3 ships if you have the ore to spend. It is a really cool one, and they're going to go for that. Now, it does not have an instant effect, but it has a single space that if you have researched that tech, you can play on in the future and will become very powerful in turns onward in this game. For production, I think they would probably go for population growth personally, because they're only down to 1 there. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so we'll give them a population, and then Lynn, it's going to be your turn again. What do you got?
I am also going to research a level 2.
Oh, which level 2 are we going for?
I'm going to pay the 2 ore. And then I'm going to research over here.
Oh, very good. So what's our event?
I gain an ore.
Oh, jeez. Lucky you. You're suddenly very wealthy with the ore.
Then choose and remove a tier 1 guild cover.
So we get the other one.
It's still going to be the other one.
Now the other one is allowing you to terraform for 4 ore and removing a population. It's a little more expensive than the one I researched. However, it is for free available to everyone. So now Lynn is looking for a tech that has to be blue. So she's found 2 blue techs, and she's going to pick which one she wants. And again, the reason it has to be blue is this had a blue on the prerequisite here. So since it's the only one leading to that particular technology, that tech will have to be blue.
I'm going to do this one. I can immediately automate an ore.
Nice.
And then it opens up another spot to get level 3 techs.
Yes, indeed. Costing 4 ore and 1, of course, the one population that we would need to put on that level 3 tech. So actually, that's not a bad way to get level 3 techs. I think that's cheaper than the one we already had.
Yeah, because this one you have to use 2 population.
Yeah, 1 to sacrifice and one to. So when you sacrifice it, it turns back into a cargo cube on your container here, and then the one that actually goes on it like the ones we've been putting on the board.
I am going, for my production phase, I'm going to do ore. So 2 ore, please.
Boy, you are saving up lots and lots of ore. You must have something planned. I'm going to go on the space there on narrow beam lasers. Len, if you would move me over there, please. This allows me to spend 1 ore to turn a population into a level 2 ship. I'm going to do that immediately and gain a level 2 ship out here. And then it allows me to jump 3. So I'm going to jump a level 1 ship to Sirius, which allows me to take control of Sirius, which gives me an ore and also allows me to force the orange player to take back their ore token, and I get to put one of mine on Sirius. That's my first jump. For my second jump, I am going to move over here to Lalande 21185. Does not have a control ability, but once I take control of it, I do get to put either a population growth token or an ore production token on it. I'm going to go with population growth this time. And for my last jump, I'm going to put a level 3 ship onto Lalande there. And that will be it for my 3 jumps. Now for my production, I've decided to do a population growth. So I'm going to get 1 population from my A column, leaving only 1 of those crates left in the entirety of the A column. I still cannot get any of the achievements. Those usually don't come till later games. So I am done with my turn, and it will be the third player's turn. So what do you think they're going to be up to now? Okay, so the third player is going to go for another level 1 tech. They're going to research advanced genetics here with one of their population there and gain the instant effect of automating 1 food to reveal their second symbol for their population growth. And it also allows them to turn 1 of their supply crates into a bit of population. So it is a win-win for them. And then I think they're going to do a bit of population growth so they can stock up on people now, because they can get 1 off the A column and 1 off the B column.
I'm going to also research a level 1.
Wow, you're going to get like all the level 1s.
I'm going to research that one so I can immediately turn a crate into a level 1 ship
in deep space.
Deep space.
But it also gives you access to 2 more possible action spaces. So what are you going to do for your production?
For my production, I'm going to do population. I'm only going to get 1 because my A column is empty. Indeed.
All right, so for my turn then, I'm going to take this action here on the terraforming, which allows me to spend 3 ore to be able to colonize a planet. So the way this works is I spend 3 ore. It also causes me to have to sacrifice 1 population. Now I had 1 population that I gained last round. I'm going to turn it back into a crate and put it on the rightmost available space, which is my E space, because you remember I had taken that ability that let me turn one of my E's into an A, so it doesn't help me refill my A track yet. Then I will get to colonize a planet that I am in control of and have the minimum required number of strength there to colonize. So I'm going to colonize Sirius. So for Sirius, it has a symbol there that shows that it requires 3, and it shows that it gives you 5 points at the end of the game. So for colonizing it, I must sacrifice a minimum number of strength of ships here equal to the required amount to colonize it, which again was 3. So my level 2 and my level 1 ship are going to turn back to crates, and they will go onto my personal board. Then any other ships there are going to get banished to deep space. And then I'm going to get to take this card and put it in front of me. Now, when you colonize a system like this, you get to remove one more token from your board based on the symbols on the system. In this case, these have ore symbols on it, which is why I'd already put one of the ore tokens on it. I can put a second one on it, having colonized it. Now that will be worth 5 victory points at the end of the game. After which, we will reveal a new system for that location. And this is generally how you play the game of Beyond the Sun. You slowly work your way up the tech trees, getting bigger and better technologies. Higher level technologies are worth more points at the end of the game. Also, all technologies have interesting abilities that they either let you take immediately or open up spaces to let you take abilities later in the game, or possibly both. As you get up the technology tree, eventually you might get level 4s, and level 4s will let you get the achievements for Transcendence. The first person to get Transcendence as an achievement gets 4 points, followed by 3, then 2, then 1 for each of the slots, depending on if you're playing up to 4 players. In addition, there of course is the ability to get the Empire achievement, which also goes 4, 3, 2, 1, based on how quickly you get it. And that is based on colonizing 4 systems, which I had colonized my first system here. Now, the other achievements we had were, there was an achievement that only has a single spot, which you, again, for the achievements, by the way, you use these star tokens that everybody has in front of them. And this one, Warlord, says have 4 or more power in 3 locations. The first person to get that is going to be the only person to get it. And Prosperity, which has 1 spot on all size games other than 4 players, 2 spots in a 4-player game, says you colonize 2 systems and automate 4 discs, which means you have 4 discs on your top automation track here. First person to get this would get 3 points, and then 2. Now we play until 3 star discs, regardless of color, have been placed on the various achievement cards at the edge of our play area. At which point we finish out the current round, play one more complete round during the entirety of which people can continue to get more achievements, and then we count up points at the end of the game. And points are awarded 1 point for a level 1 technology you've researched, 2 for a level 2, 3 for a level 3. 4s have custom point levels, sometimes based on other things you have collected. You gain 2 or 3 points sometimes for private technologies, which is an ability you can get to steal technology cards and put them in front of yourself so only you can use them, though that is fairly rare. You get points when you put tokens in the automation track. They are listed on your player board. The systems you colonize, like the one I colonized and gave me 5 points, they each give you points. And you gain 1 point for each controlled location. These are the outpost discs, like these planets here, how Orange had controlled this planet. They get a point for that. 1 point for having the most power in the Sol system, and 1 point for having the most power in deep space. You also may get sometimes points for event cards. Like this particular planet I colonized had an event card under it that made it worth an extra point. And that is going to count towards my point at the end of the game. And then also, of course, points for your achievements. Whoever has the most points wins the game of Beyond the Sun. So now we're going to head back over and we're going to talk about how this game plays and how it feels, and we're going to rate it and review it. Okay, welcome back. That was how you play a game of Beyond the Sun. So now, to be clear, we were discussing this, and we both thought that, in regard to the player count, the 2 to 4 players, we thought this game actually plays very well at all player counts. Mm-hmm. We've played this 2 players and found it to be quite enjoyable, but the reason we showed a 3-player game is 3-player games tend to open up a lot more strategic options, even though it's very enjoyable at 2 players. There's a lot of stuff like, there's more planets available in 3 players, and also more technologies get researched in mm-hmm. 3 players. So we thought it might be better for the tutorial portion to do 3 players. But you said you liked it just as much at 2 players. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So what were you, do you have a favorite player count, or are you pretty much...
The player count that will give me the least amount of interaction with other people.
So 2 players? Yeah. Okay, so is 2 your favorite then? Or?
I think so.
Okay, see, I like it with a little more interaction. I think this is a fairly low interaction game, regardless of player counts, though. There's not a whole lot of interaction. You saw a lot of the components out, but while we're talking, I'm going to pull some out that I specifically want to show. But actually, I think, that being said, even though I like it a little more with higher player counts, it's very marginal for me. I think this plays very well at all player counts. Mm-hmm. What do you think? You said
it does.
Well, do you agree that because you said you're the reverse of me. You said you liked it better at 2. Is it just marginal, or is it a significant amount?
No, it's not a significant amount. It's
so it is. It's fairly evenly spaced. Like you'll play this at 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's cool. The next thing we got to talk about is 100 minutes. I hate it when they don't give a range. So ranges are important. I'm just going to be showing some stuff up here while we're talking. By the way, this was the, in the tutorial, this was the board we were using for exploration. And I just want to show this on the other side. This is the board specifically that you use in 2 and 3 player games. So as you can see, there are less planets out and also less of the shipyard planets as well. Now, in regard to the 100 minutes, that's somewhere in the range. But I would say, especially with larger player counts, it can definitely go longer than that. What is your thought on that? I think like at 100 minutes is kind of in the middle, but like especially larger player counts can go longer. It definitely can.
Because I mean, more people is going to make it longer. People having indecision is going to make it go longer.
We didn't have too much analysis paralysis with this one. We didn't play with anyone who's analysis paralysis prone on this one, but it didn't. Like, I didn't feel myself struggling at all. Like, there was a lot of, okay, on my turn, I want to do this. Oh, someone took that spot. Okay, instead, I'll do this.
Well, because there's prerequisites for some things.
Yeah.
You can't do everything on your turn. I mean, if a spot is taken from you, and there's like 8 spots open, you can probably only do 1 or 2 other open spots.
So I want to show now real quick. This is the technology board, and what's really cool on the back of it, there is artwork on the back of the technology board. Unnecessary but gorgeous. I want to throw out because I really love the look of the boards in this game. The cards are very basic; they're very utilitarian. The player boards are very utilitarian, but the boards, the 2 main boards, are gorgeous. I also, though, I really like the look of the colored playing pieces that you use. I love the cubes that they have in regard to those. Little side note. So, what are your thoughts on production since we're discussing production?
I think it's fine. It does everything that it needs to do without anything extra.
So, yeah, again...
And I mean, I'm fine with that. Like, it just needs to be usable. I would rather...
Well, you're actually quite a fan of the whole utilitarian look. You like things to be basic, and this has a lot of basic in the cards and stuff.
If things are too busy, it like confuses my eyes, and I find like
you were totally undiagnosed on the autistic spectrum. There's no doubt in my mind.
Okay, whatever. I don't care. I don't like. I mean, I don't know.
No, I understand. You're saying it's too busy. It gets distracting.
Yeah.
You get overwhelmed by the inputs. So a lot of the basic tiles and the basic cards are fairly utilitarian. But I do think specifically, I want to draw attention to the boards, which I showed, and also the system tiles are gorgeous. Excuse me, not tiles, cards. But I love the look of the system cards. They're very beautiful. The other cards, like the technology cards, are very basic. They're just they have language independent symbols combined with sentences, so they're not language independent anymore. But they have those that tell you how their abilities work and what they do, and it's all very functional. But also, I really like the look, and I like the weird colors they chose: the blue, the purple, the orange, and the white. Some of these are a little, like blue is the only common color in here that gets, well, and white, I guess, that gets used a lot. Orange and purple, a little out of the ordinary, and I appreciate them using out of the ordinary colors, but I also like the symbols of the ships, the gears, the grain, the stars. They're all very different from each other, easy to identify at first glance. Yeah, I would say overall, I'm a fan of the production as well. I think it's done well. It's pretty in some places, utilitarian in others, but overall looks fine on the tabletop. Would you agree to that statement?
Yeah.
So, now the last thing we didn't talk about is the 14 and up. What are your thoughts on the age recommendation of 14 and up?
I think it's fine.
You think it's appropriate?
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
I think a extremely smart 12-year-old will be able to grasp it, but I mean,
I'm going to be fully on board with this recommendation. The 14 and up. I'm not normally on board with board game companies' recommendations of games. I usually feel like they've undershot or overshot them, but this one feels on the money to me. And the reason is, even though the gameplay is very simple and easy, it gets complicated based on the technologies and cards that come up. And there's a lot going on. So it does feel like this is a bit more of an advanced game, and you do need someone to be a teenager. Maybe, if, like you said, maybe a 12-year-old. I think maybe a smart 13-year-old. But I'm close to you. I do feel we're both kind of saying that we feel the 14's pretty appropriate.
I mean, a smart 12-year-old is probably not going to win it, but I think they could play it adequately.
Yeah, you're probably right. That being said, though, you do need to, when we're saying a smart 12-year-old, not just smart, but probably in a house that plays games. In a house that plays lots of games would probably be okay. Like, this should not, if you have a 12-year-old and you're looking to get into modern gaming, this should not probably be the first game you play with your 12-year-old. But if you've already played a bunch of other games with them and they're routinely getting games that are recommended above their age range, then this is probably going to be okay. Again, if you watch the tutorial portion, though, you can probably figure that out. So let's go to some negatives and positives with this game. Do you have any negatives with this game?
I find the circle disc kind of hard to pick up. I don't know why. I don't usually have. What are you laughing at?
It's a very grasping at straws negative.
No, they're like slippery almost.
Really?
Don't know. Yeah.
I don't find that at all.
Maybe because I'm always like nicely moisturized. I don't know. You got your dry, ashy skin over there, so you don't have problems.
Okay. That may be that was one of the more amusing negatives that you have had in recent times. Okay, so I'm having trouble thinking of a negative, except so I have negatives that aren't mine.
The weird, like, we don't know if it was on purpose.
Oh, I think that's
the purple.
The purple pawn is shorter than the others.
Yeah,
I think
it's
that's
like half the size.
I think that's a production snafu, like a production error that happened in our particular copy. We're not missing any pieces, and it's not a piece that this particular damage inhibits its use. But yeah, the purple one was like half the size of the other pawns, but it isn't an issue. Now, I have a couple minor issues I could see other people drawing in this. One is, this is a very Euro-y game with very little player interaction. Lynn absolutely adores those. I have no problem with those. But other people pull that up as a negative occasionally. And if you're one of those people that has a negative with very little player interaction games, I could see you also seeing it as a negative here. I don't see that because I like those games. You definitely don't see that, I'm sure.
No.
Because you adore those games. That's like your...
Possibly, like, too much over in that little board. That's why I avoid it.
You always go for where there's almost no player interaction, the technology board.
Yeah.
You know? You like to focus on researching tech a lot. Now, the only other negative I can think of is I know some people will not like the very utilitarian design of the player boards, as well as some of the white cards that are very simple, very just, symbols in white and gray. These are fairly basic. I do think it's a little odd next to the very colorful and beautiful boards, which the technology board and the exploration board are very colorful, and having these basic boards next to them does seem a little strange, but I don't really think it's that much of a negative to me. But I do know that some people complain about such things. Now, positives. Unless, do you have any other negatives you want to draw attention to? I just noticed
that they were, like, color-coded.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But
they're called...
not the colors of the pieces.
No, it's just for the color of the faction. But, okay, so, let me ask you, positive. Let's throw out some positives.
It's fun building your little tech tree.
Yeah, the tech tree is very enjoyable to work your way up, for sure. So it is, in my opinion, now this is your positive, but in my opinion, it's actually one of the most fun parts of the game is being able to work your way up the tech tree, develop the techs that are prerequisites, and then slowly gain access to more techs, etc. So you're a big fan of that as well, obviously. I'm going to throw out there that I think it's got a little smidgen of engine building with the automation of the two areas, and then because you always get to do production at the end, you pick which one to do. So there's like a little bit of engine building in there, and that's fun. There's also a little bit of worker placement, and that's really fun. I mean, it's not a worker placement game or an engine building game. It's got a lot of like almost like a sampling of Euro game mechanics in here, and all of them work well together. So I think what I'm saying is all these tiny mechanics work really well together. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree.
So any other positives you want to throw out?
Not that I can think of right now.
All right, so I want to expound on what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the those mechanics in here working very well together. So again, not an engine builder, but it has engine building. Not a resource management game per se, but it has resource management. Not a worker placement game, but it has worker placement. It's weird. This game is very hard to define because it has such a smattering of so many different mechanics. So there's something you start to realize after you've played this game a few times, especially when you notice that each of the areas, like in regard to the events, and there's certain events that have to be in there. And with the achievements, there's certain achievements that have to be in there, and then the rest are randomized to increase replayability. But the ones that are in there are ones that are very key for what the designer was going for. And it all works very well together. You can tell that this is one that was very well play tested, very well thought out, very well designed, where all of these mechanics and all of these elements, they work together like instruments in an orchestra creating a symphony. It's like it's a bunch of little pieces where you're like, oh, the worker placement, it's small, it's much less than other worker placement, but then you add it into the whole game and you're like, wow, it's fantastic in this game. And the engine building, you're like, oh, it's just a little bit of engine building. It's not much, it's not like a real engine building game, but then you put it together with a little bit of worker placement and the little bit of resource management and everything else, and you're like, oh, it works beautifully in this game. It really makes it greater than the sum of its parts. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Like it's everything it does. It doesn't overdo it. It doesn't go whole hog into any particular mechanic or any particular mechanism, but it has them all work as small parts of a whole that just are like a study in elegant game design. I don't know if you can tell that I like this game, but I like this game. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you agree or do you disagree with my assessment there?
I guess I agree. I don't really think about what categories games fall into. It's just, do I like it or I don't like it?
So is your fun factor really high on this, or just enjoyability wise, where are you at here?
Are you asking for my number?
I don't. Well, no, I'm just asking.
I mean, I like it, so obviously I think it's fun.
Okay, fair enough. Well, let me ask you then. Do you have anything else you want to talk about with Beyond the Sun before we rate it and review it?
No.
So do you want to go first?
Okay. All
right, go ahead.
I'm gonna give it an 8.
Oh, that's very high rating.
Because it is fun, and I do enjoy playing it.
8 is a super high score, and then you're just like, yeah, because it's kind of fun. You're such a hipster.
Whatever.
So you really like this one a lot. You've said while we were playing it that you really very much enjoyed this one. The mechanics are right up your alley. You like the low level of player interaction. So I thoroughly enjoyed the artwork on the cover of the box and the theme. I love the theme of developing technologies to improve space exploration and colonization of other star systems. I like that kind of sci-fi theme. It's really cool. The production is very good. I like the production in this game. But my biggest thing is definitely down to the mechanics. This game is unbelievably well thought out, well hammered out, well play tested, experimented with. You can tell that the designer must have reworked this dozens of times. Like, there are plenty of times you play a game and you're like, oh, this person barely, play tested and just threw it out. No, this game had to have had dozens of fine tunings and changes to get it to such a harmonious state where the cards work so well with each other, where everything is so well thought out. There's nothing that's done without there being a reason. Like, it all feels like everything was intended. Everything has a reason behind it. And for that, I'm going to give Beyond the Sun 9 out of 10 stars. This game is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Probably my favorite Euro game I've played in 2020. A new Euro game that I've tried in 2020. I've got a couple older ones that I might like better than it, but this is actually up there as probably one of my top 5 favorite Euro games of all time. This game is phenomenal. Very fantastic game. Yeah. So 8 and 9 stars respectively. That is 17 total stars out of 20. This is 2 thumbs way up from us here at the Board Game Captain. So if you enjoy these style of games, Euro style games, I think we can definitely recommend this game to you. So if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see us do more like it, be sure to give it a like, share it on all forms of social media, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelled with a K on YouTube, and comment down below if you have any questions, comments, or concerns either on this video or on the game of Beyond the Sun. And until next time,
Game on.
We're going to have a puppy blooper here, I think. Okay, Nico, get down. What are you doing? I think you need to get down. Or you can give mommy a kissy first. No? Okay.